regulations. Subchapter A, general regulations. Subchapter A, general regulations. Alright, Subchapter A, general regulations and rules and regulations. Part 1000, 1099, general provisions. Part 1000, reserve. Part 1001, inspection of record. 1001, records availability from the board. 1001, 2, certified the records. 1003, 1001, 3, request for the inspect of the records not considered the public under Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552. 1001, 4, pre-disclosure notification procedure for the confidential commercial information. 1001, 1, records available for the board. The following specific file of the records for the custody of the records of the officer with service transportation available to the public may be inspected by the board of officers upon reasonable request during business hours between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Copies of the railroad transportation contract summaries filed board pursuant to 49 U.S. Standard Code 13702 and 10709 respectively, and under the peer report filed board pursuant to Title 49 U.S. Code 111145. All doc files which include the documents required in a proceeding file index instrument of the documents pursuant to Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 11301. Surface Transportation Board Administrative issuance of the following records are so-called the reading room documents and are available with inspection copy of the board of its final decision, including the concurrence of the dissenting opinions as well as the orders made of the adjunction with the case. The statement of the policy interpretations that have been adopted by the agency are not published with the registered administrative staff manuals, instructions to staff, for the members of the public, and copies of all of the records, regardless of the form or format, have been released to any of the person under the Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A3 that because of the nature of the subject matter of the agency determined to have become or are likely to become subject for the subsequent records substantial with the same records the board maintains and makes available the inspection copies of the index document described in paragraph B of the section. Final decisions index and then the Surface Transportation Board daily release, which is issued by the board every working day of the document, and also explains how the copies of the decision can be purchased with the remaining documents are indexed with the essay may be made available. The documents described in the paragraph B of the section that were created on and after the November 1st, 1996. The index is with the date of the issuance available with the document. Although the www.stb.gov, the board website, the final decisions are made with the database with the full text searchable. 1001, 2, certified copies of the records. Copies of this record of the public records were certified by the records officer for the person requesting the board to prepare such copies should clearly state that the material that be copied with whether it shall be certified. The charge will be made with the certification for the preparation of the copies provided within Part 1002 of this subchapter. 1013, request to inspect the other records not considered with the public under Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552. Request for determination. Request for the inspect records of them that now deemed to be the public nature shall be written with the draft of the Freedom of Information Act of the officer, and the Freedom of Information Act officer shall determine within 20 days of the receipt of the request, excepting with the Saturday and Sundays and legal holidays, whether the request record will be made available if the Freedom of Information Act officer determines that the request cannot be honored. The Freedom of Information Act officer must inform the requesting party writing of the decision. Such a letter should contain the detailed explanation of why the requested material cannot be available and explain to the requesting party the right to appeal. If a Freedom of Information Officer Act officer rules that these records cannot be made available because they are exempted under provisions Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552B, and appeal of such a ruling may be drafted to the chairman. The decision should be administered of the final and shall say that the specific exemption contained within Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552B related with the denial such for the appeal must be filed within 90 days of the day of the Freedom of Information Officer letter. The chairman shall act for the writing of such appeal within 20 days, exemption of Saturday, Sunday, for legal public holidays of the receipt of an appeal. Unusual circumstances is set forth in Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A26 as A6B. The time limit that may extend the writing notice for the person making the particular with a request for the reason for such extension no more than 10 working days of the appeal. To deny, the chairman and officer shall notify the requesting party of his or her right to judicial review. The charges should be made provided in Title 49 1002. 1. Alternative dispute resolution. For the request made to dispute the resolution from the Board of Information Freedom Information Act publicly is on email with the Freedom Information Act privacy at Standard Transportation Board .gov by the mail, telephone, fax, Smile will provide with the board website with located with the at www.standardtransportationboard as standard.gov Standard Transportation Board Freedom of Information Act HTML. Office of Government Information Services by email by mail or Office of the Government Information Services, National Archive of the Records Administrator 8601 the Adelphi Road for the OGIS College Park, Maryland 207406001 by fax mail to 202-741-5769 or by email at ogis@nara.gov. 1001 forward pre-disclosure notification proceed with the confidential commercial information. General confidential commercial information provided by the Interstate Commerce Commission or the board shall not be disclosed pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Exempt and considering in accordance with the section for such purpose the following definitions apply. Confidential commercial information may records provided with the government by submitted to the group believe it contain material except for the relief of exemption for the Freedom of Information Act Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 52B4. Recover the disclosure could reasonably be expected to cause substantially competitive harms. Submitter means any of the person with the entity who provides confidential commercial information to the government. Submitter includes but is not limited to the corporation, state governments, for the foreign government. Notice to submit if except for provide with the paragraph G with the section of the board to exempt the period permitted by the law of the provide with the submitted with the promise with the reading notice according to the paragraph C with the section of the Street of Freedom of Information Act for the act encompassing with its submission with the notice with the shall either describe the exact nature of the information requested to provide with the copies of the records themselves. When notice is required, the notice shall give it to the submitter whenever the board has reason to believe that the disclosure of the information could reasonably be expected to cause substantial competitive harm. The information has been designated with the good faith of submitter with the confidential commercial information at the time of the submission within reasonable time thereafter, but whenever possible, the submitter claim of confidentiality should be supported by a statement or certification by an officer or authorized representative of the company with the information question and confidential commercial information has not been disclosed to the public. Community operative opportunity to for the disclosure throughout the notice described in the paragraph will be with the section of the board shall be forward with the submitter with a reasonable period of time which provide with a detailed statement. Any objection to the disclosure of such statement shall specify all the grounds withholding the requested information with a notice given them the submitted under the section. The board shall also notify the requester if it has been provided. Notice of the intent of the disclosure. The board shall consider carefully with the submitted of the objection special ground with the non-disclosure prior to its determination whether or not the disclosure of the requested information, even if the board decides to disclose the information with the over submitter's objection, it shall provide with the submitter with the written containing the following and the description of the copy of the information to be disclosed, the reason why submitter disclosure objections for non-sustained. 3. A specific disclosure date, which shall be a reasonable number of days after the notice of the intent of the disclosure has been mailed to the submitter. At the same time, with the notice of the intent of the disclosure given and submitted, the board shall notify the requester accordingly. Notice of a lawsuit whenever the Freedom of Information Act request brings a legal action of seeking to compel the disclosure of the confidential commercial information from the board shall promptly notify the submitter. Whenever the submitter brings the legal action seeking to prevent the disclosure of the confidential commercial information from the board shall promptly notify the requester. Exemption of the notice requirement. The notice requirement of this section shall not apply if the board determines that the information requested should not be disclosed or the information already has been published otherwise officially with the habit of the available public. Disclosure of the information required by law other than Title 5 U.S. Standard 5 disclosure is required by the board. Rule was adopted pursuant to the notice of the public content specific narrow of class of the records submitted to the board that are to be released. Provided exemption circumstances for the notice of the submitter provided the written justification time of the information submitted within the reasonable time thereafter. Disclosure information could reasonably be expected to cause substantially competitive harm. The information requested was not designated by the submitter for the exemption from the disclosure when the submitter has been the opportunity to do so at the time of the submission or within reasonable time thereafter, unless the board has been reasonable to believe that the disclosure information could reasonably be expected to cause substantial competitive harm. The designation may be admitted by the submitter in accordance with the regulations appear with the obviously frivolous. Such case, the board must provide with the submitter with the only written notice of any administration closure determination within a reasonable number of days prior to the specified disclosure of the date. Part 1002 fees.